Hey,
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday. Busy weekend today. Hey, welcome to Over 50 Starting Over, everyone. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
Yeah, man. So we got mine and Lisa's birthday celebration this weekend.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so my birthday is I'm not going to use exact dates for some reason. I just don't like doing that. But mine is at the end of January. Hers is at the end of February, exactly 4 weeks apart. So our birthday falls right in the middle, which is Valentine. I'm sorry. The average falls right in the middle which is Valentine's Day, which is also the 13th year anniversary of us meeting.
Wow. Congratulations.
So that's a very important date in a number of different ways. And so our family, my mom, my brother and sister-in-law always take us out to eat sometime around this time. And this weekend, it is Saturday. We're going to something of a fine Italian restaurant called Piccolo's in Mayfield.
Oh,
we've all never been there.
Kind of familiar to me.
Somehow it sounds familiar to me. I don't think it's like a unusual Italian name.
No, but that's ringing a bell to me for some reason.
All of us have not been there before. I looked it up online, and it's a really pretty place, and the menu is terrific. I'm probably going to get some kind of seafood pasta. Oh God.
You already know, huh?
That's when we go to a nice Italian place, it's usually what I end up with, and I'm never disappointed.
Are you the kind of person that before you get there, you always know what you're going to get? Like you look at the menu ahead of time?
No, I think we discussed this before. This is real. I look at the menu and I start getting some kind of crazy idea in my head about what I want. And on the rare occasions where I don't run it by anybody, I just like save it for the waiter or waitress. I screw up. I got to run it by Lisa, and she's always like, you're not going to like that. You're going to like this. Yeah, I'm terrible about ordering for myself. I really am.
You? Wow.
Do you remember, I told you this story about in Florida, which, hey, we're going in what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And last year, my last meal there, we went to this brunch place that's really everybody's talking about. And I didn't tell anybody. You know, everybody's talking about what they're going to order and all these fancy dishes. They get to me and I go, bacon cheeseburger. And Lisa goes, what? And I'm like, bacon cheeseburger. I'm thinking, how can you go wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was
what?
It was the worst meal I had the whole vacation. We had all these great meals, right? Because she's like, and after I tell her like it was terrible, she goes, of course you didn't even read it. She goes, if you read it, you'd see that it's on a big pretzel bun, which you hate, and it's in sweet barbecue sauce, which you hate. And that's all I could taste was this big giant pretzel bun that overwhelmed the entire burger. This sweet barbecue sauce, which doesn't go with a burger whatsoever, in my opinion. It was terrible.
Man, what a story.
How did we get down that road?
I don't know. Just, it's just interesting how everyone's got a different thing going on when they get to the restaurant. Anyway, some people do a lot of research before they get there.
No, and Lisa usually does. And that's what I
don't do that myself.
Yeah, I am very defiant, and it's like it pains me to even say that I refer to Lisa on these things. It pains me because I'm such a rebellious person.
There's the madness inside of you. Yeah.
That's it. But man, I got to tell you, when I'm looking around at everybody else enjoying these great dishes and I'm eating something that I ordered and I screwed up.
That's hilarious. I know that is the worst.
It is the worst. And my brother is really good at ordering. Like whatever he orders, I'm usually like looking at it the whole time.
I ordered that. Have you ever ordered something and you took a few bites out of it and you're like, I wish I ordered that guy's plate and then sent back what you had?
No, I can't think of a time. I just suffer through. I figure like I'll live to die another day, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I hear you. I understand that that's an acceptable thing, that they don't have any problem switching it out because they want you to come back.
Yeah, it depends on how good the restaurant
money
is.
off of that one meal. They are looking for the recurring revenue on this.
That's
and
true.
if you get the meal that you like, you're going to come back.
That's true. That's very true. Got to ask you, second full week there now. Oh, the flag made it to the bottom of the floor there.
Yes.
Behind you.
Okay. So we're starting the staging process here. It's all happening, Barry. It's pretty exciting going on here because our house is becoming a home. This past week was an amazing transformation. We still have a long way to go, but as far as boxes unpacked, I mean, we've got the majority of them unpacked. And now it's a matter of where to put everything and just staging and things like that. And that's kind of the fun part.
I think it is too, because you get to make your dream, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pieces together.
Yeah. You've seen it all come together and everything and feeling like home. I got to tell you, this morning I woke up and I just felt so good in my house. I saw an amazing sunrise this morning as well. Nice. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but the morning star, Venus, comes out this month. It's appropriate. I never thought of it. Valentine's Day happening this month, and the morning star comes out this month. It's Venus.
Okay, wait a minute. Venus is called the morning star?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And I heard that it's at right around the horizon, right before the sunrise. And I went out this morning and took a look at it. It's about maybe 30 degrees up in the air. It's brilliant. I mean, if you get a chance to see that, look at it. It's huge. It's huge in the sky. Yeah. It's an amazing sight.
Is it every year at this time?
Apparently it is. I got an article on that to talk about that. But yeah, it's apparently this month, a couple other planets are going to be visible. All of the rock planets are visible this month. Okay. So you've got Mercury, Venus, and Mars are going to be able to be seen at one time in the sky. Mercury is a rock planet,
but it's so far away. And what does that mean? A rock planet? It's not gaseous.
It's like, for instance, Saturn and Jupiter, Uranus, they're all gas planets. So these are the rock. So we're a rock planet, obviously. So while you're standing on Earth, you'll see all the other rock planets at the same time in the sky. These are all going to be visible. And also the moon, apparently, I think it's around the 25th of the month. There's a crescent moon will be in the sky. So you'll be able to see all those and be on the other rock planet at the same time here in February.
That's interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Pretty cool. But
never heard of rock planets before.
Check it out. Yeah.
And I don't see how you can see Mercury. It's so freaking far away.
And small. And it's, it's right next to the sun. But apparently it's on the right side of the sun where we'll be able to see it at this time of year. I've never seen Mercury in the sky before.
It's got to be so freaking hot there, man.
They don't call it Mercury for nothing.
Right. Hey, in this upfront part of the episode, I got another one of these really valuable Cleveland Clinic email tips. From time to time, we talk about taking care of our hearts. A subject near and dear to me because heart disease runs in my family. My grandfather on my father's side had a fatal heart attack. I think probably his third one was fatal. And my father had a heart attack, but he actually died of leukemia a couple of years after that. And heart disease. My
dad died of a heart attack too.
And there you go. So that whether you have heart problems in your future, it's something like 80% dependent on your genetics, the family history. So that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So listen to this one. This one's called reversing heart damage. And that's nothing that I don't think that's anything any of us have heard before. So bear with me for about 2 minutes.
All right.
Regular physical activity is one of the most effective habits for keeping your heart, brain, and overall health in good and younger condition as you age. We know that. But what about when damage has already been done? For many people, it's not too late. New research shows that the right exercise regime can help reverse heart damage in people who have a sedentary lifestyle, especially those under 65. This is directly for us, folks. Over time, being inactive can cause the heart's left ventricle, which transports oxygenated blood back to the body, to stiffen. This can ultimately lead to heart failure. A 2-year study of middle-aged people found that an exercise regime can significantly improve the left ventricle's elasticity and the heart's functioning. The regime isn't just a walk in the park. However, we're being clever here. After starting with 3 walking sessions per week, participants worked up to 4 or 5 sessions per week, then included a couple of 30-minute moderate intensity sessions, a 30-minute high intensity interval workout, then an hour-long moderate intensive activity, and 2 strength training sessions. It sounds like a lot, folks, but you just work your way up to it. If you have a heart condition, this is the end here. If you have a heart condition or you've been sedentary for a long time, talk with your physician before starting. Increase the fun factor and hold yourself accountable by finding an exercise partner or joining a community exercise program. I think that is wonderful advice. Wonderful advice.
I think so too.
And for you, I would look into climbing a mountain every now and then, to tell you the truth.
Speaking of that, this weekend, I finally got to go out and kind of check out where I live. And Anne Marie and I went on this amazing hike in the Santan Mountains. Now, the Santan are the mountains that I can see right out of my back window. And
that sounds so cool.
Oh, it is. And Barry, I got to tell you, this was an amazing hike. It was a 4-mile hike through these very well kept trails. Nice. in sort of the valley in the mountain region. And I mean, I've never been on a hike like this before. These cactus that are out here, they're those big, I don't even know what they're called, but they're huge. I can see one.
Like in the cartoons.
Yeah. Just like in the cartoons, they're everywhere. Yeah. And it was surreal. It was beautiful. It was Saturday. I saw a lot of people in the parking lot, but on the trail, I hardly saw anybody. Yeah, I was enjoying it so much that I really didn't take any pictures, but I'm going back. I can't wait to go back. And
I really would like to see those pictures.
Out here, there are a ton of trails everywhere. You had gone on a hike here. I'm trying to remember the name of that mountain. Camelback, very famous out here, as a matter of fact. And but there's all great kinds. Hike, man. There's another mountain called Superstition Mountain out here that's huge. And so you take your pick where you can go on an easy, a moderate, a hard trail out here. Lots of them to pick from. And also another thing I'm discovering out here is bicycle trails all over the place.
Oh,
not only do the streets have bicycle lanes, which is really cool, but I mean the actual bicycle trails, they're all over the place. I'm just now starting to discover where they are. I haven't been on one yet. But I'm really looking forward to this whole thing. It's pretty cool. Beautiful area here. Beautiful.
I really seriously want to see pictures. I'm sure everybody does. Did you get your internet?
I did. Jeez, that was really a drought there. Not having it's hard
not any better.
Dependent we are. It's not. You got to be kidding me.
No, as I asked that question, you froze up.
Well, I think it's way better than what I had. That's for sure. Because what happened is I exceeded my cell phone limit, and they put you on the slow boat deal, and it was terrible. I mean, every time I wanted to look at a news article or something, it would take like 5 minutes for it to come up. And I might as well not had internet. There's like a punishment that they put you on. And in the midst of that, the internet guy came. I did like 5 days of this terrible, slow stuff. In fact, it happened shortly after our call last week. And the guy came on Tuesday, and it's like a miracle. And now I can watch TV. I actually got to see a movie this week as well. So
look at you. And I'm gonna catch back up on that. But I want to ask you first, who's your provider, your cell phone?
Oh, it's called CenturyLink out here.
All right. Well, I'm going to repeat something that I mentioned before. Very important consumer tip. I
like your little deal there.
I just this week got my mom switched over to consumer cellular. She has a $28 a month plan. Mine, because of the amount of data I use, mine's all of $38. And so I highly suggest you, Merle, to switch over to consumer cellular. I get no kickback whatsoever. Just want to help you out.
Consumer cellular. Huh?
Mm-hmm. And it took me, I've been hearing about them for 2 years. And it took me a solid year because I didn't trust it. It was too good to be true. I didn't trust it. And then I kept hearing more and more about them. See, I saw them on like a Super Bowl ad and stuff. So I'm like, I got to look into that. When I switched over, it was as easy as swapping this SIM card out and putting that one in. Really? No interruption in service. It was the easiest thing in the world.
And you're Apple or Android?
Apple, iPhone. Mm-hmm. You do have to call or go on the website and make sure that your phone is compatible. I would say at least 75% are, but you don't want to be canceling with your provider and then find out you're in the 25%, you know?
Right.
So right. I really
what
do.
What a savings that would be. Wow. That's really cool. Great suggestion right there. Consumer cellular, huh?
Yes. And I have another thought based on what you just said a second ago. I wanted to, because you said you finally got to see a movie.
I did.
I watched the rest of Schitt's Creek over the last week.
Okay. I'm glad you did.
Because of you.
And it's funny that you did that, Barry, because I thought about this conversation we had last week and I was like so into it, but I have never seen the last two seasons, only a couple of episodes in the last 2 seasons. So since then I've watched all of those except for the last episode for some reason. I got my cable and I never saw the last episode, which I'd seen before.
Oh, okay. Because I would say the last episode was not worth watching. It was just not ruining anything. Trust me, folks, because what you want to find out what happens with the characters for their future.
Right.
And that it all transpires over the last few episodes. The very last episode, they got in their minds, because I actually watched the behind the scenes stuff.
I did too. Yeah.
And, which I loved that. That was very
too.
moving, and how the cast came, how they cast it in, how everything fell together. And then how they discovered they had a real friggin' hit on their hands and they had no idea until they were like way into it. And anyway, so the very last episode, even Dan Levy said this on that afters thing. He's like, well, we wanted to give our fans a treat, a celebration for them. It was only their wedding, the two guys getting married. That's all it was. All of the reveal about what is going to happen with the characters in the future already took place in the prior episodes. So you didn't miss anything with the final episode whatsoever.
Yeah. So what was your opinion overall on the last?
It stayed true. The good writing, and just the chemistry, all of that. I was really glad that I revisited. It looked like to me, like when I stopped watching it about season 5, the beginning of season 5 or something, it looked to me like it was all about those two guys in their shop at that point.
Right.
Totally different from what it was the first 4 seasons.
Yes.
So anyways, because of what you said, I picked it back up and was pleasantly surprised that it stayed very, very entertaining.
It did. And at the same time, Barry, there were a few episodes there in season 5 in particular that I could totally see what you talked about. Yeah. And that's where you said you dropped off. Mm-hmm. And so while I was watching it, I was there was several episodes in a row where I thought, these aren't hitting it like the other episodes I was telling Barry about. And I'm thinking, he's probably going to watch it again and go, I told Burl. I don't know what he was talking about. I'm glad you liked it though, because I was feeling uncomfortable when I was watching it. But I did like the shows where they were talking about what was going on behind the scenes, and it turns out that they really had become sort of a family in the background too. Mm-hmm. They seemed to genuinely like each other on the set, and there were so many scenes they talked about where they actually cried during the filming of this.
Yes.
And I thought that was I was touched by that. I thought that was pretty cool, because the scenes they talked about were scenes that I was choked up by as well.
I'm going to say that the big one was and it was really the whole storyline was just done so well. Alexis and her fiance,
Yes.
the big
Ted.
geologist that his dream job is in the Galapagos Islands.
Right.
And the where they are in the diner and they're in love. They're totally in love, but their futures are going in different directions. Yep. And then they showed the entire cast. This is the after series part that I'm talking. And this is what you're speaking to. They showed the entire cast crying. We're doing that scene. It was really moving. And what's her name that plays Alexis? I can't think of her name.
Anne Murphy.
Yeah, Anne Murphy. She has the simplest name. She's like when Levy, what's his name?
Dan or Eugene?
Eugene. She goes, when Eugene Levy cries, oh God, this is choking me up. She said
me too.
They went over, she got done with the scene and she went over and Eugene Levy says, oh, come here. And he hugs her. And she said, and I feel his chest convulsing that he's sobbing. And she goes, when Eugene Levy cries, and she goes, she immediately broke down at that point. Oh God, that was moving. So anyways.
All right. You got me going. My gosh, I got a big lump in my throat now.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Up on this.
I could take that right away and get you laughing here in a second. But I wanted to ask you before we move on from the subject, was there a movie that stood out to you or anything?
I did. I watched a really crazy movie. And I don't know how, if anybody would really like this one. It was called Lady of the Manor, and it was. I'll just read it. I saw this on, I think it was HBO Max, but past and present collide in this supernaturally funny buddy comedy when stoner slacker Hannah is hired to portray Lady Wadsworth.
Boy, are you freezing.
A Southern belle who died in Wadsworth Manor. Really? That's too bad, because you are coming through like gangbusters, right? It could be on your side.
Okay, we'll go
Hannah, a hot mess, figures she can fake it until the ghost of Lady Wadsworth appears. Anyway, this was a ridiculously funny one. Judy Greer is in it. I really like her. She's in a lot of these rom-coms that I like with Leslie Mann. But it's Melanie Linsky. I've never seen her before. Apparently she's been in a lot of movies. She was really good, but this is just one of those movies I just thought was really silly, and it was done in 2021. So just last year. It's a newer movie. It was pretty entertaining for me, funny, and they call it a buddy comedy. So
what's it called again?
Buddy comedy.
No, the name of the movie.
I'm sorry, Lady of the Manor.
Okay, and you think you saw it at HBO Max?
Yeah,
I would check that out if I had it HBO Max. Just kind of keep picking up another channel. You could probably get it on Prime if you have that, Amazon Prime. But it's out there. Pretty funny movie. Yeah, check it out. I got to tell you, did you hear about, oh boy, this is just yesterday, this news broke. You know where you grew up out there in Hudson, that upper middle class kind of affluent community?
Yes.
Well, yesterday the mayor had something very funny
Hudson.
to say. Yes. And I got to see if I can pull this up. I think I got it right here. He thinks, so they're talking about proposing or lifting some legislation so that they can have ice fishing. And he's okay. I'm going to read the headline.
Okay,
Shanties on the lake. Hudson mayor suggests ice fishing could lead to prostitution.
Wow. It's a big problem in Hudson, Ohio.
Dude, he's gotten to the point he won't even talk about it anymore. Reporters are going crazy. They're like, what? Nobody can find any basis for what he's talking about. So apparently he was a former reporter. So they're like, is this something like during your reporting days, something came up? Dude, these reporters have called every mayor in every town along the lake and everything else and can find no evidence for this whatsoever. All I got to say is, where's this guy's head?
What is he saw a different version of grumpy old man or something?
Yeah, I guess so.
We saw. Wow.
Okay.
That's something.
I got this for you.
Ice fishing is not allowed in the city of Hudson.
We have a number of people who have requested the ability to ice fish.
But on Tuesday, city officials discussed allowing it at city parks. A few council members discussed the possibility of someone getting injured.
Ice fishing can be very dangerous.
Hudson Mayor Craig Schubert, however, was concerned that ice fishing could lead to prostitution.
If you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good, then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem.
It does.
Prostitution.
We reached out to the mayor on Wednesday.
He gave this a very rehearsed pause.
Yeah,
for dramatic effect. Yes.
He's been doing the community playhouse, I guess. Wow.
So thank you, Fox 8 News, for that bit of entertainment.
Wow.
I mean, where is that guy's head? Do you know what this reminds me of? It totally reminded me of about 8 years ago or so. Doing this, designing this magazine, an alumni magazine for a local college. And I was in there reviewing the proofs with a couple of the higher ups. And the one guy who was in there for the one and only time, okay, we're looking at graduation photos, and he's all disturbed because you could see some of the legs of the girls in their gowns. In their gowns, dude, it wasn't mini skirts. And he's like, well, I think that's a little bit inappropriate. The first thing I thought is, where is this guy's head? Nobody else ever would have said or thought anything about that, but he did. And so when you get these holier than thou guys that are like that, when it gets that creepy, I have to think, where are their heads? Well, like that mayor, come on, man. How did he come up with that?
Well, when he did the dramatic pause, it was as if we were all supposed to come to that conclusion before he actually, obviously, prostitution. Right? We all know what happens in those shanties. What happens in the shanty stays in the shanty.
Up there on the ice, man. You know how that's pretty erotic stuff there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
okay.
This is a surprise.
I just want to, this is going to switch gears a little bit, but I'm so excited about this. And I just heard this morning, walking Charlie, and heard it. Crystal and Sagar were talking about it. And of course, I got to plug them every week for some reason. It's just, I get great news from them. Pelosi is starting to cave on the stock reform for Congress, just simply out of pressure.
Yeah, I would imagine. I can't imagine her willingly giving up that golden.
Oh no. Now, one thing that bothers me, Crystal and Sagar always agree on everything, in spite of the fact that they're on opposite sides of the camp. But neither is, like, she's not far left, he's not far right.
Right.
But like Crystal has gotten on the bandwagon of the Dan Crenshaw bashing bandwagon. And so Sagar immediately goes with that. And so almost every week they're bashing Crenshaw, who, I like a lot, but I mean, he's sullied because he's part of this whole thing too.
Right. That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So I wish, and he's tried to defend it as well. Like, how are we supposed to make money if we can't invest in the market type of stuff? And so I hate that. I wish that he would just speak forthright towards that, get behind this thing, has gotten behind it, who's found a platform, AOC.
Really?
Yeah. So she's gotten behind it to wave her little flag, get some. But what Crystal and Sagar were saying is, what's going to happen is they've already started talking about, we support this bill or something, which all it does is reinforce the policy that they have to report what they're
something that's already on the books.
Yeah, but they don't enforce. So she says they're going to, she goes, just watch. They're going to try everything that they can to look like they're doing something about it without doing something about it.
Yes.
I'm sure she's right about that.
Yeah.
But as she said,
that's what AOC said. Oh,
no, that's what Crystal said. But what she also said, and I love this, she goes, for once you could see democracy actually work. And what she meant by that is this started as a grassroots movement. All of us learning about, we learned about it mostly those TikTokers. The TikTokers were just watching Pelosi's husband's moves, doing the same thing, and we're making upwards of 20% in the stock.
How is it that they could see what he was doing, though? I mean, how
they can. Yes,
they can, because
they have to report. They have to report those things and where that is. They were reporting. They were doing it. They were doing it legally. It's just totally unethical.
Right. That's the thing. It's nothing. It's nothing that they're doing right now is illegal.
Right.
It's just the fact that they're the ones that make all the rules that actually make the impacts on the stock market. So I mean, how easy is it for them? And especially when they have like their spouse do it, it's so.
And that's another thing. And that has to be brought to the forefront too. Okay, it's not enough that Congress can't do these. And as Sagar says, let them do mutual funds all day long. Nothing wrong with that because they're not, participating in the trades, really.
Right.
But, they made the point, okay, not just Congress, but their family and friends, close friends or whatever, but the family can't either. So you can't, be doing that end around. Anyways, buddy, I think that's a really nice place to start at chipping away on the complete corruption of every system that we have. Hello?
The problem,
man, you froze up again.
Interesting.
What you might want to look into, Merle, is one of those boosters.
Yeah. Okay. You're coming through just fine. So that's the interesting thing is how can it be on my side if you're coming through so fine?
That's like, this is exactly like when someone drops a cell phone call and you call back and everybody fights about whose phone dropped.
Oh, that was you. Yeah.
I always just say mine. I'm sure it was mine.
Your $38.
Anyways, bud, I'm always on Zoom. I don't have these problems. You just got your new connection. I'm sure it's on your end.
No, it's you.
Okay.
For you.
All right. So anyways, I just threw out a bunch of stuff and I got a bunch more. I want to throw it your way.
I was going to say, though, let me just back up. The problem is that these guys are so smart. They're wiggly, right? They'll figure out another way of doing, just like you said. Okay, so they got me, they got my family, but my buddy Joe, let me just talk to that guy. I mean, they figure it out. They always figure out the loopholes and everything. But I'm glad that this is happening. It's about time.
Way overdue. Like I said, it's a way to start chipping away at the corruption. And Merle, I got to tell you, in a lot of ways, I'm feeling we talk about how America, you and I talk about how America the pendulum has to swing so far to the point you think the earth's going to explode before it starts coming back the other way. And in so many ways, I think it's starting to swing back the other way.
I hope you're right.
Case in point. Everything that's been going on with Rogan the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And I'm going to go right back to another headline if I can. Oh, yeah, here it is. CNN anchor admits she is officially out of ideas on, quote, what to do about Joe Rogan. That says a lot, that little headline, doesn't it? Because they've been trying to censor him for what? Sharing really unbiased news that provides an alternate opinion, so it broadens the story out on things like about the pandemic. So it's just a total blatant attempt at severe censorship. So
absolutely bad. Like that's her job, is to do something about Joe Rogan. When did that happen? When did they become the guardians of information of what we can hear and what we can't hear? That's CNN's not their job. I know, but they've made it a norm that they are in charge of the gate, the information gate, and they're not going to let anything slip past the goalie. That's not supposed to happen here, and that's just like you said, it's censorship, but it's euphemized so that it sounds like, oh, well, they're looking out for us. They're not. They're getting paid to do this too. That's the other thing. You look at the advertisers. Have you noticed how Pfizer seems to be the main sponsor of most of our news stations now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Have been for a long time.
Yeah. And I think we talked about that, but I mean, look at what's happening. This is why many years ago it was illegal for pharmaceutical companies to advertise on television, and once they broke that seal, then healthcare changed dramatically, and it's changing. It's the snowball effect at the top of the mountain. Now it's this gigantic snowball that nobody can stop.
That's exactly right. I got a lot I could say about that. I did take a lot of notes on that one Rogan episode where I'm just going to, and I want to say too, I'm going to preface this with, I think everything about the censorship movement that has particularly gotten so bad on YouTube that I'm always walking on eggshells over here and trying to speak in code and everything else. I think that pendulum has hit the very top and is starting to swing back. And I think this whole thing with Rogan is what was just the tip of the, not the tip of the iceberg, but the very pinnacle of the whole thing. It blew the top off of all of this because Rogan is like, first of all, one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. He tries to be so responsible, just curious. He doesn't try to incite people. He doesn't get excited about anything. He's just curious. And so he lays it out there for people to make up their own minds. And I'm not talking about crazy stuff.
Right.
It's really moderate stuff coming from scientists. Wasn't as in agreement with you about Robert Mueller, though, or Mueller, one of the two. I thought he was way one-sided without giving other side, but I don't want to get all. My point is,
you're talking about the inventor of our mRNA.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But let's not
he was
go there
way
now.
off.
Yeah. Kind of like, I think we got to decide even in this episode, if we're going to talk about particulars like that, and I have a lot of them, then we're going to have to do it at the end of the show where I'll cut it off of, I won't put it on YouTube. And I think that maybe there's only a couple, you're going to think I'm crazy what I'm going to say. I think maybe there's only a couple more weeks of this extreme censorship that's going to be going on.
I'd love to believe that.
I know, but I think it's becoming so exposed and people are getting freaking irate about it. Absolutely irate. And I think this Rogan thing blew the top off of it.
Okay. I love what you're saying. I mean, I want to see it though, boy. That's what I want to say. And I'm seeing a lot of really interesting things that are happening around the world right now regarding this. And really some of the mandates that are starting to ebb away right now, which is wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And it's because people are standing up and they're fighting for themselves. You got the truck drivers movement that's happening up in Canada right now that's rocking the entire world.
Briefly, I want to say, what did you think about Trudeau's comment? Apparently, he said they're waving swastikas.
Well, and you know what? I'm not sure that there weren't people that were there that were waving swastikas and carrying Confederate flags. You could find a freak any place you go to. You know what I'm saying? And and not to mention that.
But to conflate it and make it sound like they're a bunch of Nazis holding some kind of a Nazi rally or something.
Well,
come on.
We've seen the film. You can see that this is completely nonviolent. They're not burning down anything. They're not throwing rocks or objects and hurting people. My understanding is over the last 2 weeks, 20 people have been arrested total, and there's literally tens of thousands of people that have been.
They're really debating how many people are there. Some people say 1,000, some people say 10,000, and everybody's debating that.
It's sort of a carnival atmosphere that's happening. Nothing like Chad or Chaz or whatever that was called, where they're just destroying the place.
Summer of Love.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Trudeau, back to your question, Trudeau's comments were disgusting. But it's so typical of him. I mean, you could expect nothing less from a guy like Trudeau to conflate the whole thing with these are far right extremists that are Nazis and KKK members. And the other
Same
thing too
game, same tired game.
The Confederate flag in Canada, that doesn't even really make a lot of sense to
unless
me.
it's a trucker that has come up from. I don't know. I don't know how that works, dude.
It doesn't really
come up from
work.
here and go through Canada.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, but still, like, what the symbolism of the Confederate flag? How that doesn't seem to have any place in Canada and in the truck driver movement.
Kind of my point, Merle. I'm throwing this right back in your lap, but I feel like even Trudeau, who's been worshipped as this far left god of some sort, I think he's fallen out of favor. This whole act of using all of this race baiting stuff, the whole movement with these blue states getting fed up with these mandates because they're finally hearing the real science, that has been trying to be censored in this whole movement. Average everyday people are getting fed up with it all, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Well, that's what it takes. And, one of the things you and I have been in agreement on for many months now is that if this is going to change, it's not going to just automatically change. We're going to have to wrestle our rights back from these tyrannical despots that are out there, because they are never in the habit of giving your rights back. Once you lose your right, you're going to have to fight all over. You're going to have to, you will have to fight in order to get your rights back. That's why we never want to lose them in the first place.
That's right.
That's the deal.
It's like they say, free speech. Jordan Peterson said, free speech, man. He goes, you don't realize how unusual, almost unbelievable, almost impossible it is to have free speech, how hard it is to attain it, and how easy it is to lose it.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at what's happened. Barry, I just wanted to bring up this point. We're talking about mandates, and most of these mandates have come from either here in the United States, at least, from either a bureaucratic entity or from an executive governor, or through executive order, or even mayors are doing it, and the federal government is doing it as well. You and I spent a lot of time talking about the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, where we have established that the mandate should fall under the legislative branch. And these executive orders are really, there's a place for them, but there's a limited place for them. And when you can declare emergency and just take over the law for years at a time, we've got a problem. So I would like to see a way to prevent that from never happening again as a result of everything that we've been through for the last 2 years, because we can see the trajectory, the path that this has gone, and it's really gone to tyranny. And thank God people are, like you say, are waking up to this and finally doing something about it. It's funny because this truck driver movement is really hitting the pocketbooks of nations, because it's affecting the supply chain.
And I want to ask you about that. I haven't read the details about that whole trucker thing, but I just keep up with the headlines that are changing, daily, even twice a day. I could see both sides. I think, like I said, I don't know all the details, but they literally have shut down towns. And I'm hearing about townspeople. Some townspeople are like, man, I'm angry about this because I'm trying to run a business, and they have our town at a standstill. So there's that side of it.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side. What are the truckers asking for?
They the big deal is the vaccination mandate that they have of having to cross the border. In order to cross the border, they've got to be vaccinated.
And they're going to win that one.
Well, we were already seeing it happening. So there's several of the government entities in Canada have said that they're abolishing their mandates, but it's a federal mandate regarding that border. So mandates inside of Saskatchewan, I think Alberta is another one, where they're taking away mask and vax mandates. But it's that border mandate that they're really after here, and that's going to be a Justin Trudeau thing. And you're seeing what's happening there. He's he's not willing to give up that kind of authority.
He will. He will. He'll cave when he sees that all his popularity. He's been worshipped over there, and
he really has.
His popularity is tanking quickly right now, and he's trying. As a result, what is he doing? He's doing what the Democrats always do. Oh, let's double down on identity politics.
Well,
it's run its course. It's run its course.
He sounds like a complete fool, and it's so interesting how easily people get shamed in this situation.
Tired.
We saw where The Rock. Dwayne Johnson was going after Joe Rogan because he had said the N-word at some point. And it turns out Joe Rogan was quoting somebody. So it wasn't really him saying it. He was quoting it. It
was taken out of context as always.
Yeah, exactly. But how quickly these things happen and how easy it is to pull somebody down because of this. And here, Justin Trudeau, they have pictures of him where he had gone to a party dressed in blackface
twice.
Twice. That was his favorite costume. But yeah, he survives this whole thing. It's just kind of funny how these things happen. It's sort of the thing we've talked about with Cuomo and how, hey, he was responsible for the deaths of, thousands of the elderly, yet he doesn't go down because of that. He goes down because of improper behavior. He hugged somebody or whatever.
By the way,
the Jeff Zucker thing.
About 2 weeks ago, he got acquitted on both, and it was a tiny headline. And so it worked. Their diversion worked.
Yep.
And that's the shame of that. I was going to say, man, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. And again, I just want to lob this back to you. But this whole thing about, and I think it started, to me, it seems like it started with, I was going to say Kucinich, not Kavanaugh. The Kavanaugh hearings about all of a sudden reaching back 40 years into his past and pulling out a yearbook and judging his character on something that may or may not have happened from 40 years ago. And this has become a thing of late, and including with Rogan now. Oh, let's go back 10, 20, 10 years plus and pull together these clips out of context. Don't you think? Once again, this is the silliness that is just the pendulum is starting to swing back. People aren't buying into this crap anymore.
Yeah. I love that. I hope, like I said, I want all of this to be real. It seems like it is. Sometimes I get fooled into thinking, hey, this is no, it's not really happening. But yeah, I mean, everyone has a past and things that they've said that they wish that they hadn't said. And here we live in this digital age where you can pull up stuff pretty quickly and say, oh, look, you said the N-word. And I hate that there are words that some people can say
stupid,
but other people can't say it. I think that's wrong in general anyhow. So if there's words out there that some people can say and other people can't, my rule is just don't say it. I mean, just stay away. But it's
totally disagree. Ridiculous. I think really, if you really want to take the fever out of this, I should say the fervor out of this, then what we should do is pass a national N-word day once a month. You have to say the N-word X amount of times. And what that everybody does. And what that would do is take all the power out of it. Now it's meaningless. Nobody cares about it anymore. Every time you try to censor something like Joe Rogan, you give it more power. I'll bet you, I don't know this, but I'll bet you his audience increased by at least 10% during the last couple of weeks.
It might have, but I'm just saying, like, you take a look at the N-word. Black people can say it. They can say it to each other. They
That's
can
my
say it to
point.
Everybody else. Yeah, so they're saying it all the time.
So it makes it so powerful. It makes it a weapon. It's weaponized.
Look,
somebody tried to use it against Rogan as a weapon.
No, I understand what you're saying, but from my point of view, as a Black person, I just feel like, why use the word? It's a word that it just divides people. I personally, it's not a word I use. But I've used it.
Well,
it's just not like one that I
don't particularly like the word robust. I don't like when people say robust. I never had it, and you know that. It sounds like you're on a freaking commercial, Right. But I don't care if somebody uses. Well, do I care? No, I don't like when someone uses it, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's a weird word.
I'm not personally. I don't care. You use it. I don't care. But for me, I don't need to throw that out there, I guess is what I'm saying, to throw gasoline, because it's basically it's a trap. It's been used as a total trap.
It's a total trap. Yeah, total agreement with you there. By the way, Lisa says that you should move your guitars to the other side of the room.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to actually hang those up. They're just sitting there for right now.
Nice.
It's all staging and everything now that's happening. We're trying to figure it out, but yeah, that would be that would kind of even out the room, because with the door and everything, it's a little blank. But we're trying to figure it out over here. Trying to figure it out. But hey, we were talking about the Cuomo effect, and interestingly, in the news, we talked last week about Zucker going down because he hadn't actually disclosed his relationship with another executive there at CNN.
We both agreed there's more to that story.
I found a little bit more here. It turns out that media reports have said that Cuomo's legal team threatened to expose Zucker's undisclosed romantic relationship with CNN executive vice president Allison Gollust, who had served as Cuomo's communication director. But Rolling Stone reported that sources had information that Zucker and Gollust were advising the governor at the beginning of the COVID pandemic in ways not dissimilar to what led to Chris Cuomo's dismissal. So there it is that he was doing the exact same thing that Cuomo's brother Chris was doing.
Your connection is so screwed up.
Get that?
Yeah. You froze up for a long time, which is distracting. And then it comes in kind of fast, and then but yes, you're right. I did get a lot of that Cuomo effect, and it's said that he's trying to get the remaining 18 million off his contract. That's the motivator.
So yeah, and here's the deal: is that turns out,
oh brother. Get the booster.
Don Lemon actually had advised Zucker not to pay him that. Yeah.
Lemon? It's kind of getting difficult. We're hitting a little rough spot here.
Yeah.
But Lemon, you're saying Lemon advised Cuomo what?
Don Lemon, who they apparently Chris and Don Lemon had a pretty good relationship. They're, I love you, brother. That's how they'd sign out to each other. Well, here he is. It says that he was advising Warner Media CEO Jack Klinger not to pay him that severance package, saying that, hey, if it gets out that we can do these unethical things and then get paid for doing them, that's going to make us look bad. So Lemon's standing against Cuomo getting that severance package. Which, by the way, that'd be one thing I could definitely agree with Don Lemon on, but this whole facade, it seems to be breaking apart pretty quickly over at CNN.
Oh, yes, it is. And they got bought out by who? Who was that bought them? Not Disney. Who bought them? AT&T sold them. I forget who bought them, but they're. They said that the new CEO really wants to get back to real news. That's quite a statement.
Well, it all depends on what his definition of real news is. So we'll have to see.
Well, you know what?
I'm right there with you, though.
You know what I heard someone say? I don't remember who said this. But wait, Trump is going to enter the fray again right around the corner, and they're going to find themselves bottom feeding again very quickly. Well, because he boosts the ratings.
Yeah, and see, that's exactly what I'm concerned about with a Trump campaign. Is everything becomes about Trump? It sucks all the oxygen out of the room. Nobody has people for some reason can't think straight when he's around, and we somehow lose all composure, our reasoning faculties. Yeah. And we just become these emotional windbags. So I don't.
And you know what happened?
Concerned about this.
Oh, you should be, because here's what happened. For 4 years, those numbskulls all just said anyone but Trump. Didn't have a platform, didn't have a person, anyone but Trump. That's all they said. And that led to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the mess that we've been in for the last year. And it's blown up in their face.
I could see it happening the exact opposite way, because
they're going to get Trump put in here. They're putting Trump back in.
What I see here is that the Republicans, I'm almost embarrassed to say I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. But the problem is the Republicans. And I see that they have a great opportunity here with the midterm elections, and they're riding high off of all the failures of the Biden administration. But you can't, it's weak to govern in that particular manner. You've got to have policies. You've got to have solid policies that you can hang your hat on, instead of just don't vote for those guys because they're bad.
That's all that's going on. Yeah.
And my fear is that's the Republican thing that's about to happen right here.
Agreed.
You get the Republicans in there and they bollocks it all up. They don't do what they're supposed to do. They do exactly what the Democrats have done on the Biden side, is they finally get their opportunity and they screw everything all up. Right. I mean, that's what's going to happen here if we don't watch out. And it seems to me that, just like you said, the Trump administration is what caused the Biden administration. So you put Trump back in there again. What do you think is going to happen?
The Biden administration is going to cause the Trump administration again, unless, buddy, listen to this. I'm Mr. Hopeful today. I'm Mr. Positive.
Okay, I like it.
So the average American population is getting wise to all this. They're getting fed up. They're getting fed up with the censorship. They're fed up with these mandates. They're fed up with the Democratic Party, with the crime that's going on in these Democratic-run cities. They're getting fed up with everything. Maybe they're going to get fed up with these crappy candidates and demand better candidates. I don't want to see Trump, Biden, Harris, Hillary. I don't want to see any of them up there anymore. I want to see some real solid people up there.
Well, and I think that I agree with you. And I think that the debate format that we've seen so far has got to change, because what happens is we've got these milquetoast debates. And the reason they're milquetoast is because of the moderators.
Sound bites.
And that's all you're getting. And it's just, gosh, the last one we saw, presidential debates that we saw, were just the worst in the world. I've never seen anything. And they just keep getting worse. Every time I think that was the worst, it can't get any worse, it gets even worse. And we're going to see that again if they don't make changes here.
Again, Mr. Hopeful here. I think we also have seen the podcasts have gotten so big now. And frankly, the last maybe 20% of the population that hadn't heard of Joe Rogan now know of Joe Rogan, thanks to their attempt at censoring him, which again is always backfires.
I would like to see more candidates go on his show.
My point exactly. We're going to.
I would
definitely going to. That's where I fell in love with Tulsi Gabbard. 3 hours of listening to her and I was sold. Wow, lights are on, everyone's home. I could definitely trust her. May not agree with all the policies, but she sure as heck would have been a very pleasant alternative to Joe Biden and friends.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I had a choice, I would choose her 100% of the time over Joe Biden. Big time.
Hey,
but as we see here, we are hitting a situation where Joe Biden's popularity, to your point, has taken a big hit. He, in the latest polls, he's below 40%, lowest ever. Actually, this is like record low. And not just for Joe Biden, but for president since polling began. And here we just hit yesterday, the news came out that we just hit a 40-year high as far as inflation, the consumer price index down to 7.5%, and everyone's feeling this. And at the same time, what happens normally in politics is that the administration starts to make moves that are antithetical to the moves that they had made before. So I think what we're going to see is some desperate moves that are happening here. And here we've got Russia happening. What does that mean? How does that whole thing play out? We're in a very interesting spot in history right now, Barry.
Yeah, I agree. The Russian thing, I've been saying for a while, I kind of feel, part of me, and I'm the only one saying this, I kind of feel like the military industrial complex kind of gave Biden a choice. It's like after that debacle in Afghanistan, which left a lot of people without their paychecks, a lot of, contract people, and not to mention all the kickbacks all these people were getting in the military throughout, politicians. I think the military industrial complex said, look, man, we'll get you out of this mess if you get us back in to that's kind of how I feel. There might be a little bit of that. I don't know why the United States feels that they have to spearhead these things. I think maybe Europe should play a larger role, but this isn't my bag. I don't really know.
Yeah, I guess we're going to find out. Things are happening.
Yeah, things are happening. It really worries me. Didn't Russia make some kind of mention of a possible nuclear something? I thought I heard the word nuclear getting thrown around.
I hadn't heard that, but that's the whole thing. Is that we're in a situation with a nuclear power. We've over the last 20 years, we've been in Iraq. We've been in Afghanistan, even in Darfur, Mogadishu, all that. None of these guys are nuclear powers, and it took us 20 years to get out of Afghanistan. Now we're looking at a possible tangle with a superior force that has nukes. So I say,
Scary,
diplomacy should be the name of the game here.
Yeah, I wonder who's in charge of that.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
That's a worrisome thing. I want to share a totally different story. I wonder if you heard about it. This is in the New York Post, and I just thought I was like, what? Elderly nun sentenced to prison. This is in your old hood, LA. Sentenced to prison for gambling away the elementary school's funds. 80-year-old nun was sentenced to a year.
Oh my gosh.
In prison for fraud, money laundering charges in order to pay her over $825,000 in restitution.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, I gotta say, man, that woman's got a little addiction problem right there, but she gets a year. A year. You cheat on your taxes to the tune of $2,000, you're going to get 10. If you or me.
She must have had a good lawyer in order to get a year.
Yeah,
on
the
that.
Pope.
Gosh, yeah, the Pope. It's got his law degree. Hey, real quick, I know we're running out of time here. But I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the Olympics at all.
No, I wanted to ask you.
Have you? Yeah,
not at all. No, I have no interest. In fact, I think their ratings are at all-time lows.
They actually are. They've never seen ratings like this before. And there's all kinds of crazy stuff that's gone on here. Let's see here. The one thing was that the torch lighting, I found out after the show last week that the torch lighting was done by an athlete on the Chinese team that's a Uyghur. And there was a lot of talk coming about that, about how this was really just hypocrisy from the CCP, and this is their way of showing no, everybody gets along here. Well, it turns out that this shortly after this Uyghur, Yalamu Yang, I think that's how you pronounce the last
I think
name.
that was a good attempt.
Yeah, well, this person now, after they finished she's a skier. She's disappeared now. They can't find her. The reporters can't find this. This is a person that was there and has disappeared. Yep, this is. Let's see. Hey, let me just read this. Just days into the 2022 Beijing Winter Games, and controversy already abounds. Dutch reporter. I don't know if you saw this. A Dutch reporter was mishandled by Chinese authorities while filming. Have you seen that?
Thought I saw a video of that. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Athletes and coaches have complained about inhumane treatment during forced quarantine. Top foreign athletes have been disqualified on questionable grounds, including improper attire. Security experts from around the world have warned about the Chinese regime spying on athletes and visitors through mandatory health monitoring app Human rights groups were appalled when the CCP selected an ethnic Uyghur to light the Olympic flame, calling it a political stunt to distract attention away from human rights violations. And after her event on February 5th, journalists waited for Yula Zhang, but she never showed up. Reporters were also unable to reach her through China's National Olympic Committee. At a press conference, Beijing Olympic organizers refused to comment on her disappearance.
No, I thought was that a few days ago?
I just pulled that today.
Oh, then it must be a different one, because there was something like Monday or something like that. It seems like a little while ago that the Daily Mail had a story kind of like that. And so what I always do, if I'm like, I might save this for the podcast, well, I double check with other media.
Right.
And in that story, they were sensationalizing the headline, and it was like, oh, the person disappeared. Meaning, and what it really was is they just didn't. They hid themselves from media. Was all, because I looked at it in other papers. First of all, I could hardly find it anywhere else, and then after reading, just hiding from the media. But wanted to make it sound like, China made this person disappear. But no, in that one, that sounds like that one. And I'll never put it past China to make somebody disappear.
Right.
So
don't get me wrong. They're good at that.
They're very good at that. Yeah. Or people mysteriously falling out of windows, because they have those tricky windows over there.
Yeah, real tricky.
I tried to lift a
gravitational pull.
Yeah, I fell out.
Suck you right out those windows.
it's the air currents there.
Well, the tennis star Peng Shuai, the one that we've been talking about so much, she was in the news too. She was interviewed there, where she's saying that. Her quote, "I never said that anyone made me submit to sexual assault. My private life should not be brought up in sports and politics." Everybody's calling her interview a state-sponsored interview where she was actually made to say these things. So she completely retracted what she said, acted real squirrely about the whole thing. And we know exactly what's going on over there. So not a surprise what's happening, and not really a surprise that the ratings are down on this whole thing as well.
No. Well, I think, and in my opinion only, now there's 4 years between those Olympics. That's a long time when you talk tech. I'm talking tech.
It's 2 years now because of the way they split summer and winter Olympics up. So
right, you're right about that, summer and winter, right? But there's been a big movement away from broadcast TV and away from cable, huge in the last couple years, last 4 years, and so I think a lot of it is simply people not, having channels 3, 5, and 8 or whatever your local channels on at their fingertips all the time because they're streaming stuff. So I think that's the majority of it, but
it could be. Well, it could be, so NBC's got their app out there, Peacock, and a lot of people are watching it on that, but they're monitoring that as well. And still coming up very, very short on this whole thing. So there's a multitude of reasons. I think the main reason is the human rights atrocities. People just aren't into what's happening with China and everything we've gone through in the past couple of years. We know where it's all come from.
Man, I think that's got a lot to do with it.
I think so too. And I just think, the International Olympic Committee kowtowed to China. I mean, they just had it there in
oh man, you're breaking up bad.
2008. Now they got it there. It is what it is.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to mention, you are so frozen.
Hey, did you hear about Bob Saget?
Hello. Well, of course that he hit his head and he died. Was there something more? Boy, you are gone.
No, that's it. Well,
okay. Yeah, boy, we had a really bad spot with you here. But you're back now. I did. Certainly I did. I was thinking that there was a couple more things going back and forth about him. Like there's something interesting about that, but I don't really, I can't remember, but I know I said to Lisa, hey, good way to go. Sure beats, most of us have horrific deaths dealing with cancer or something. He hit his head and went to bed and never woke up.
Yeah, if you're going to go, you might as well go to sleep and boom, you're out of there. That would be unfortunate, though. The guy's pretty young guy for something like that to happen. So
very loved, very loved.
My heart goes out to the whole thing. Yeah,
man.
That's too bad.
Stand-up comedians. Hey, dog, knock it off. Stand-up comedians were really, really moved. They really loved the guy, and everybody had something to say, positive about him.
That's what I heard.
I just as I'm scrolling through my notes and as we're winding up, I did want to throw out here when we're talking about Rogan and all that controversy, Spotify controversy, and will Spotify end his contract and all of that? And there's no way they're going to do that. But Rumble offered Rogan $100 million.
I heard that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you did. That's huge. And that would put Rumble way on the map, man. Way on the map.
Well, and I heard that he turned it down because Spotify has stuck with him. They've been loyal to him. He's got a contract. So he's going to be loyal to them. Yep. And I think that's the right thing to do. But interesting what's going on with that. Yep.
Yeah. And let's see what I got some lighter side stuff that I want to share with you. I got a super cute short video, and let me share this here. And precious little girl covers a dog's ear from the fireworks.
Oh,
watch this. I should have blown it up. I forgot.
That was cute.
The cutest thing in the world. Now I got to say, I'm going to sound like, let me stop this. I'm going to sound like an old man here, and I know it, but I am really over the fireworks thing. For one, I've always had dogs in the Heights, which all the houses are close together and stuff. It's gotten to be like Beirut here over the last 10 years or so. Just everybody with illegal fireworks everywhere. I mean, just waiting for my house to get hit with one, but mostly my dogs are terrified throughout the years of this. And then I have a friend just a couple streets over who was in Afghanistan, and she admittedly suffers from PTSD. And she says it's a horrifying experience getting, and it's not just 4th of July in the Heights, especially University Heights. It's all of July. And so I don't know. I'm just over that. And, even when I was a kid, I never liked those big thunder booms that they do in the middle of fireworks. Right, I always thought those were unnecessary. Like, what's the big deal?
What I noticed is that when they shut down our fireworks shows during the pandemic, that was when I never saw the amount of fireworks that I saw actually happening, but it was like all the neighbors suddenly had fireworks and they were shooting them off when that never happened before. So
yeah, I gotta do something.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that seemed to be worse for people that had PTSD and had pets than having like a centralized area where everybody goes. So I think they made the whole problem that you just said worse by trying to limit that whole thing and actually spread like wildfire. It's a thing that you're not allowed to do that makes you want to do it even more.
Yeah, that's like censorship.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like censorship, just like it.
I think that's a really good point, Merle. I got another one here. This is you're gonna like this. Dolly Parton's Dollywood to cover full tuition for all employees. How freaking cool is that?
She's cool.
She's
I like Dolly Parton.
She's got a great reputation. People always try to bring people that are at the top. People always want to bring them down, and people for decades have been trying to bring this woman down. And she's one of those, unlike The Rock or John Cena. She will just look at the camera or look you in the eye and say, "Don't judge me. I'm not here to be judged by you, and I'm not judging you."
She just seems so genuine, right?
That's the point.
Yes.
Yeah. But to do this, I mean, my God, in today's day and age, that's you could be at risk of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Wow.
So beginning of February 24th, seasonal part-time and full-time employees of Dollywood Parks and Resort will be eligible for the tuition program. I just say, hey, God bless you, Dolly Parton. We need more of you in this world.
I totally agree with you on that one. God bless Dolly Parton. That is awesome.
With that, we are definitely out of time, but I think we've got a ton to do an after show, and we got to make some decisions on how far we go with the after show. May not make it to YouTube, but it'll certainly be on our podcast channels.
Right on.
All right. So guys, go to Over 50 Starting Over, and wherever the after show is, it will be there. Sign up at Over 50 Starting Over, and you'll get these links right into your email box as they drop. See you guys next week.